Hello and welcome to the demo of the Role Policy app. By default, when you install a new module in Odoo, a user has access to that module. The Role Policy app is a game changer in the sense that as long as no specific access rights for that module have been granted to a certain role, users in that role will not have access to the module. To show you an example, you see a number of roles that will be used in our database. They are all empty for now. I will show you the Data Maintenance Officer. As you see, he has no access rights at all. So I will show you what he can see in the database. I log in, I click, and even when I try to find modules here, you will see that the DM has no access at all. The Role Policy app allows you to define these roles through the user interface or by importing a spreadsheet. To start, it may be best to just add all the things you need here. For example, add a line on menu item level. Here you can select detailed menus. You don't have to apply the complete sales order to a role, but you can just select, for instance, customers or products. So if you add them here, then you can easily export your result. For the demo, I already created a spreadsheet for the database manager. So on an OCA level, you simply add the model and then you define the read, write, create, delete access. You can activate a rule or you can delete an entry on import. When defining a spreadsheet, you don't have to define the name. It will be applied automatically when you import it here. When you export the spreadsheet again, it will attribute the name in your spreadsheet. Of course, you can also do this manually. On the menu item level, you just add the external identifier that you find in IR menu. If you do it manually, no need to know anything about external identifiers. So you just add all the tab pages. You see that the number of tab pages in my spreadsheet is equal to the number of tab pages in my database. For the view modify rules, I will explain you in the demo in more detail. So let's start by importing the data maintenance role. I can either import sheet per sheet, which is handy when you have made some changes and you only need to import one sheet. But since we have no access rights at all, I will import all sheets at once. While importing, the system will test, and suppose that you have added a rule for an MRP module which is not installed on your system, then the system will throw you an error message, and it will import all the tab pages without errors, and it will just allow you to change the spreadsheet for the tab, and then you can import that sheet only. Let me explain you some more about view modifier rules and what the power of these rules can be. I return to my database. I refresh. And you see that I have all the modules that I have added to my role. In the sales, as explained before, I have a limited number of menus. I don't have, for instance, sales orders or quotations because my data maintenance officer is not allowed to access. I open my customer, I click Edit, and I see that my VAT number is a mandatory field. I also notice that my customer is a company. Now, what will happen if I click on individual? My VAT field is no longer mandatory. Now that's an easy one to set up. Let me explain how I did that. I go back to my role. I click on the model, and in the contact model, I defined the element field name equals VAT. On the required level, I added a domain company type equals company. And this is how it is set up. I've also applied a number of inactive rules, and I will show you by going to products that my data maintenance officer has access to reordering rules. Now, I don't want the data maintenance officer to have access to reordering rules. I want to keep that for the warehouse manager. So what I need to do is hide this button. Now, how do I do that? I look for the button in the view. The model is a product template, that I know. And I look for the number of reordering rules in the view. So I end up in the product template procurement view, and I see that the button does not appear once, but appears twice. So I want to hide the button in both cases. Now, how do I do that? I go to my data maintenance view. I select my inactive buttons, and here I add the model product template, because this is the one we are talking about. I add the product template procurement view. The form type will automatically be proposed. And in the elements, I add two XPath expressions. One to say that the first occurrence has to be invisible, and another one to say that the second occurrence has to be invisible. I activate both rules. I click Save. I return to my data maintenance. I click Refresh. I open my product, and the reordering rules button is gone. On the product level, I notice that I don't have a price in my Kanban view, but I have the price label. Now that's a bit ridiculous. So I want to hide the price label. How do I do that? I look in my views, which I already did here, so I select my inactive rules. The element printing the price in the Kanban view is ULLI, so I add the XPath here, and I activate my rule. I click Save. I return to my data maintenance officer. I refresh, and the price label is gone. You might have noticed that we also talk about view type attributes and view model operations. Now, what is the difference between the two? View model operations are defined on a model basis, so for a complete object or for all objects by using default. View type attributes allow you to hide attributes on a main view level, so it allows you to change, to override attributes of the main view. I will show you what it looks like in my database. So here on the product level, I see the import button. I see it on the Kanban view. I also have it on the list view or the tree view. So I go back to my view model operations, because on a default level, I want the import to be hidden for my data maintenance officer. So I add default. I select import. Disable is activated by default. I save. I go back. I refresh my screen. And I see that my import button is gone on the tree view, but also on the Kanban view. I can also make exceptions. Here I have hidden the archive option on a default level, meaning that my data maintenance officer will not be allowed to archive records. But of course, I want my data maintenance officer, who is responsible for creating and maintaining products, to be able to archive products. So I add an exception on the model product template saying that archive is allowed. I will show you what this looks like. So I open the product, I click on the action, and I have the archive attribute. I will show you that on a customer level. I open a customer form and I don't have the archive action. As a DM, I did not add any ACL for account tax. But of course, my data maintenance officer needs to be able to add taxes to products, for instance. So I open the product, I click Edit, and on a customer tax level, for instance, I see that my data maintenance officer has created an edit rights. I click, and a message pops up saying that I am not allowed to view this information. That is because no ACL has been defined. This is yet another powerful option of our role policy app. Now I will log out as data manager and I will import another role to show you the power of model methods. Let me import the sales inbound employee for you. I will import all the sheets because I have no access rights at all. The same test on errors is applied. As you see, I have no model methods. Model methods can be defined in the system, so there it requires a bit of development. And in the module, we have added the method to post. So now we will see that the SIE, has access to sales orders, for instance, because we want him to be able to create sales orders and also to invoice them. But because he has no model method defined, he will not be able to post the invoice. I will copy a sales order. I save, I confirm, and I create an invoice. As you see, I have the post button. I'll be posting, but I get a message that my security role does not allow me to do that. Okay, we have to find a solution. So we will edit the sales inbound role and we will add the predefined method allowing us to post. I click Save. I return to my SIE database. I refresh my browser because that's all I have to do. I click on my sales order. I open my invoice. The post button is still there. I post. Et voilà, I am able to post the invoice. So that is some of the power of the role policy app that I wanted to demonstrate you in a quarter of an hour.